thank you everyone for joining us. We're really excited to be at USF virtually, albeit, while we couldn't make this happen in person. I'm really excited to introduce myself and to share more about, our company and the opportunities that we hire students for. USF is actually kind of like a new space that we're exploring in regards to like recruiting. Traditionally, my team has, had, certain campuses picked out, and we send recruiters to those schools. But over the last few years, our team has made a really big push to move out of that like targeted recruitment approach, and instead, we've had a more like regional recruitment approach. So I recruit for students into software engineering roles specifically, and specifically from students who go to school in the Bay Area. So I'm at UC Davis, I'm at UC Santa Cruz, I'm at Santa Clara University, I'm at Berkeley, I'm at Stanford. But now I'm at USF as well. So just wanted to provide a little bit of context around, our recruitment kind of strategy there, but also to share my excitement that this is kind of our first formal recruitment event USF in a long time. So excited to learn more about your school as time goes on. So I wanted to start with some quick introductions. We had an alumni from USF going to join us. Her name was India. She unfortunately can't make it. She wasn't feeling well, but hopefully we can find ways to have her connect with you all. If not today, an opportunity in the future. And she might join us on the call too, so I figured I'd leave her here on this slide. In regards, to tell you a little bit more, again, my name is Brian. I'm a university recruiter. I've been with Microsoft for about 5 years, and I have done a variety of different things in the university recruiting space. Most recently, I was a recruiter for Hispanic serving institutions in Florida and Texas. And then before then, I was an international recruiter where I got to travel a bunch of different places globally. And one of kind of a fun fact that I'd like to share is that during my international adventures, or my international recruiting adventures, I actually met Lena, and I hired her for her first internship. So that was a really emotional experience for me to get to hire Lena, and that was a few years ago now. So I'm going to let Lena introduce herself so you know who she is as well.
Yeah, I remember we met in Argentina like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Brian was the person who gave me the offer, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening, I can't believe it. Anyway, so hello everyone, my name is Lina. I am from Colombia. So I did in Microsoft 2 internships, 2017 and 2018, both in winter. I joined Microsoft as a full-time software engineer. So I've been working here 1.5 years ago. I'm based in Vancouver, Canada.
Cool, I love it. I was just trying to see if I can disable the sounds. I wonder if I could do that. John, do you have an idea?
I will work on that. I think I can.
It's okay.
I'll try to very silently in the background. I don't think the students can hear it. I think only we can hear it, but I will try to disable that.
I wasn't sure if it was reverberating for students as well. In the meantime, I'll just do my best to focus. This will be a good test for me. Cool. Well, that's a little bit about us, and I'm certain that we'll get a chance to learn more about each other, especially as we move into like the Q&A portion of today's presentation. In terms of what you can expect, we have about an hour together. My hope is to start with an introduction about Microsoft and more specifically our mission, what it is that we are aim to do in the world, who our customers are, and the values that influence our culture. Values in particular right now, I know, are really important. I think as students of USF, you probably understand that, and students across the Bay Area have indicated that a company's values are a really important way for a decision as to regarding where you'd like to work. So hopefully that information will be a good introduction. I'll give you an overview of the different opportunities that we hire for. Specifically, we'll talk about the 2 different internships that you can apply for, as well as full-time opportunities we have and the disciplines that those opportunities come in. I'm going to invite Lena to share with us a little bit more about her experience as an intern over the last few years. And then we'll end with giving you kind of a high-level overview of what our application process looks like. And I'll give you some of my best tips as a recruiter around the things that you can do to really distinguish yourself as an applicant, so that you can put your best foot forward for some of these opportunities we'll talk about now. And then, of course, we'll end with some Q&A. So as you think of your, questions, and as you learn more about this, we're going to ask that you save those questions for the end of today's presentation. That way, we can best, answer them. Cool. All right. So we're going to talk about our mission to start. Microsoft's mission. When I first read it, I remember thinking this was kind of like a generic corporate statement. But the more time that I've spent at Microsoft, the more I understand why this is so important. Kind of a fun fact, everyone at Microsoft gets, a badge, obviously, and on your first day, you get your picture taken. And I remember, standing in line, my picture taken, and I was like, my picture came out good, it's going to be a good day. And then I noticed on the back, this, the mission statement was written there. And the reason why this is so important, the reason why I always start with this, is because it identifies, 2 really important things. The first is our customer. So Microsoft is, likely not a new name or an unknown name for you. We're one of the biggest tech companies now in the world. But the challenge with, being so large is, creating technology that is for everyone. And we really take that, as a very tall order. And we're very intentional about creating products that are inclusive, and really we work towards building a workforce that tries to reflect the diversity of the customers that we serve. So that's the first piece. It's everyone from, Fortune 500 companies to folks, working as teachers in remote villages. Our aim is to be true. And the second piece is about empowerment. It's about reimagining what technology can do, constantly pushing the bill on innovation. But it's also about asking ourselves what technology should and shouldn't do. Microsoft, over the last few years especially, has taken a really active, stance on a variety of issues that some might argue is like, hey, we're a tech company. What's our role in fighting climate change? Or we're a tech company. What's our role in addressing racial injustice? Microsoft has time and time again kind of let those values show, and we're really committed to doing what's right in a variety of senses. So that's something that makes me personally really proud to work here. More about that can be found on our website, microsoft.com/university, where we can highlight all the different opportunities that students have access to. In regards to our culture and the opportunities that students have, these are made up of 5 kind of pillars that make up our culture. These values are super important, and they're pretty pervasive. I would encourage you to do your research on companies' values so that what type of environment you might be entering. The 5 tenets for us, everywhere from growth mindset, which is basically means we take on challenges head on, and we do our best to create solutions, and we see everything as a learning opportunity. We're obsessed with our customers and anticipating their needs and building products that they love. Again, we strive to have a diverse and inclusive environment, and this is something that over the last year especially, I've felt some really strong kind of commitments and actions that didn't feel empty. The fourth is, we're a big company. It's important for us to operate as one, especially as we think about, how we move forward with so many different arms. Our mission, our central mission is really important to that. And then finally, it's about making a difference. It's about finding work that is meaningful to us and ultimately using Microsoft as a platform to pursue what we're passionate about. It gives you a taste of what we mean when we talk about our mission statement and what it's like to work here. And Lena will certainly provide some more perspective for us in a minute as well. In regards to our hiring process and the opportunities that we have for students, I'm really excited to share good news that Microsoft is hiring thousands of students into a variety of roles, whether that's an internship role or full-time roles. I know that's a really big question that we get from students, especially this year. There's a lot of anxiety around what the recruitment process will look like, and that's something that actually John and I just talked about earlier today. So know that there's plenty of opportunity with our company this year, and our applications just opened about a month ago. So you're not too late. In regards to the opportunities for internships, there are two. Specifically, we have our Explore internship, which is for freshmen and sophomores. These are for students that are earlier in their career and looking for an opportunity to kind of get their feet wet in big tech. We particularly encourage sophomores to apply for this opportunity. The preference is given to sophomores, but freshmen are also eligible to apply. It's a 12-week paid internship, and within this opportunity, you have the chance to rotate between both software engineering and program management disciplines. So there's a really cool opportunity to explore, hence the name, different disciplines. You work collaboratively with two other interns that are called your pod mates, and the three of you work together on a project with a team, and you have access to a lot of really great resources and supports, from a manager that you report to a mentor, to a recruiting contact who will help you understand and navigate next steps. If you're someone who is in their sophomore or junior year, we also offer a SWE internship, and this is like the biggest, kind of number of opportunities. This is the biggest internship we have. Candidates are, encouraged to apply, especially as juniors. We're looking for students that are, going to be entering their senior year after their internship. It's also a 12-week paid internship, but instead of rotating between disciplines, you'll actually pick one, whether that's software engineering or program management or hardware, etc. You'll work a little more independently on a project with a team, and then you'll also have those same supports throughout your time as an intern. Lena is going to tell us a little bit more about what that experience is like, though. This is just kind of like the cut and dry, like this is what it looks like from like an opportunity standpoint, but Lena will definitely, give us a little more, she'll color that experience for us. In regards to the different disciplines that we hire for, a majority of our openings are actually within software, so it's nice to see so many computer science students represented here. If you're interested in software engineering, there's an opening for that. If you're interested in program management, there's a different application for that. So keep that in mind. We also hire data scientists and hardware candidates as well. For those of you who are non-technical, we hire a bunch of students into business function roles. So if you're more interested in marketing or HR, these are also what those openings look like. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Lena to share a little bit more about the time that she spent as an intern over 2 summers. And then Lena, if you want to just tell me when to hit next on the slide, we'll do that.
Hello, everyone. I'm just getting used to these big meetings in like Zoom platforms, so it's been a bit awkward not seeing everyone else, but I'll try my best. Okay, so as I said, I'm from Colombia. I majored in system engineering, and when I was an intern, I was a master's student, so I majored in applied machine learning. So, well, as I said, I did 2 internships, the first one, and both were like very different. I will say. So that was great because I had two very different experiences and both were great. For the first internship, I work in a machine learning project because my masters were in machine learning. So they offered me like a really cool project, like real project with real data, with applied machine learning. But in my second internship, I decided to try something else. I wanted to see like what else was there. So this one I tried web design and front and back end development. So they also gave me like a big project, and I went straight forward to my manager because it was in a different team. And I was like, okay, I want to try something different, but I don't know anything about front end development. Like I know like basics, just baby basics. And then my manager was like, sure, but if you want to learn and try and give it a try, like go for it. So at the end, everything went well. And yeah, here I am. So here in the pictures, this was my first days. So I interned during winter because from South America, we come here during our summer, which is winter here. So yeah, so I was here during winter. So that was like the street where I was where I arrived. This is like all my fellows colleagues that all they were like Brazil. We have people there from Argentina. So this is me in the corner with the brown jacket, being super happy and excited. Yeah, so can we change the slide?
Yep. I can get it. Okay, cool.
Yes, so this was great because in the second internship, we had a very strong female presence. So these were all the women that were interns at the time. So we were like a bunch of girls from Brazil, Argentina, and me from Colombia. So that was great to have. So at least back in my country, there are not many girls studying system engineering. So just arriving here, finding this big crew when everyone was like super welcoming, and we have like similar backgrounds. That was great. So this was awesome to get like meet new people, like same like women with the same experience and my like things I like as well. So I had a roommate in my second internship. So we are still in contact. She also signed up for full-time offer, and like by chance we ended up in the same team. So we both work in the same team now. So that's great because we had like a very good relationship before, and now we're in the same team. So that just make work so much fun. Yes. So can we go to the next one? Yes. So this is my team in the left. So this is the team I interned the second time, which is the team I'm currently like right now. So I want to say that everyone was super welcoming. Like there is people here, if you guys were into the COVID tracker in Bing when all the COVID thing started. So this thing was made by 3 people from my team. So that was really cool. So everyone was like super skilled, like they know a lot of things. And I always feel very welcomed. Like I started from zero. I was like, I don't know anything. And they were like always being like super supportive, like teaching me a lot. And I think I've learned a couple of things right now. This is the people from from the office. So we had like a very cool open space area. So yeah, everyone, I want to say like everyone was super welcoming. Like everyone was from very different places. So that was great as well. Yeah. Another thing is like around Seattle. Personally, I really, really like it. It's not as cold as I expected. So I come from Colombia, right? And we don't have seasons there. So it's kind of always warm and nice. So I was like, oh my gosh, no, this is going to be terrible. I'm going to freeze out. This is going to be horrible. But then like, it wasn't that bad. It was actually nice. You just get a jacket, get a scarf, and then you're good to go. Like not crazy snow, not crazy like weather. That was very nice. So during the internship, it was great as well because they took us to like a lot of places. It was like, let's go check the Space Needle, let's go check the hockey match. So we were just like going around with all the interns, like of course, like Microsoft was taking us everywhere. So that was very cool as well. So it was not like, I was expecting to be less active because it was winter and no one wanted to be outside. But luckily I was wrong, I guess. Yeah, can we go to the next one, please? And yeah, so I think the first time I saw snow was in this internship. So you guys can't imagine how happy I was the first time I saw snow. I was crazy about it. I guess, yeah, this is not normal for me. So if you guys are into outdoor stuff, so Seattle is a great place to go and do this like kind of things. I am very outdoorsy. I like to be always outside. So like there is a ski resort. There is like the opportunity to go like do hikes, do like a lot of things outside. So if you guys like these, also like Seattle, Puget Sound area is really great for these kind of things. Next one, please. Great. So this is more about hiking outside. As you can see, I love it. I love this area. So now that I live in Canada, which is kind of the same like area around. So I have this weather, these amazing mountains and stuff around. So I'm very happy. And yeah, that's what I wanted to share. So guys, I'll be happy to answer some questions that you guys have at the end. And I hope this all makes sense because it was like super fast.
Awesome. Thank you, Lena, for sharing more about your winter internships. Typically, our internships are offered during the summer for students that are studying in the Northern Hemisphere. So everyone at USF would be, eligible for a summer internship in 2021. In regards to our application process, this is, some of the most common questions that we get from students is like, how many interviews are there? What's the process? What are your tips? So in order to give you that high-level overview, this slide kind of covers what those stops look like along the way. The very first thing, the very first step, super important, is to submit an online application. All of our applications are available on our website, which is microsoft.com/university. Our applications went live right around August 15th. I think they went live technically August 17th. But submitting an online application is kind of table stakes. It's the only way you can be considered. And we'll ask that you definitely upload a resume, since the resume piece is a big part of how we make recommendations for who we'd like to move forward for the first step, which is the first round screen. First round screens happen virtually this year. So you can expect to connect with someone using a program called Codility. During that 30-minute interview, you have a blend of technical and behavioral questions. And then from there, I will review, first round feedback. For the students that do well, I'll invite them to a final round interview. And again, those are happening virtually. But you can expect more interviews that last a little bit longer, and those you typically interview with the team that you're being considered for. It's 2 interviews if you're interviewing for a internship position, and then it's 4 interviews if you're interviewing for a full-time role. So that's the difference there. And then we're pretty good at getting candidates offer decisions or offer results. Typically within 1 week we can let a student know, and then from there students have about 2 weeks to make a decision on their offer. I wanted to share a little bit, like peel the curtain back a little bit and share a bit more about the way resumes are reviewed, just so that, this is kind of like the insider secrets so that you know how to prepare like the best resume. I also have a really exciting opportunity that is going to be, available to everyone on this call. It's an opportunity to book a one-on-one resume, review session with a full-time Microsoft employee, and that's happening this Friday. I'm going to be working with John to send links for those opportunities on Wednesday. So just, keep your eyes open for those opportunities, because it's something that I'm really excited that we can offer students. But now I can tell you a little bit, at a high level about what we're scanning your resume for when we review resumes. The first thing that we need to see on your resume is your graduation date. That is super important for us because it determines what role you're eligible for. Specifically, we need month and year written there. So expected graduation date, don't forget that. Other things that we're going to scan for is your academic background. We want to get an idea of where some of those skills lie for you, what you've been studying. We actually, hire students for software engineering roles that are English majors sometimes for software engineering roles. There's no hard rule for what you need to study in order to be considered for a role at Microsoft. The third thing we're going to look for are applicable skills and experiences that we think would make you successful in a role. And then the last thing is things that set you apart, whether that's personal projects, leadership, community involvement, anything that's going to indicate passion on the student's behalf is definitely something that will help distinguish you. And I'll talk about that in a little more detail in this next slide, which is about our philosophy on how we hire students. I know a lot of people get really intimidated when you go onto the website and you read some of these job descriptions. They're really lengthy and they kind of sound like they're trying to hire this unicorn person that has years and years of experience. We recognize that none of you are unicorns. While you guys all have different skills and special things that you'll bring to the company, we don't expect you to have years and years of experience or even specializations in certain technologies. Our recommendations for hire are actually more based on your potential for success as opposed to proven excellence, and also it's based on your passion for technology. People often ask, well, why is passion important? And the reason for that is because passion is something that we cannot teach you. Lena just described that during her internships she ended up learning a lot of stuff, and that she had a lot of really great mentors and opportunities for mentorship during that experience. But what we couldn't teach Lena was the passion for technology piece, to care, to be eager to learn. So while you're building your resumes and as you think about where you're going to work, start asking yourself some of these questions. I think they might actually help you get the right things on your resume. What makes you excited about technology? How do you spend your time outside of school? Why did you choose to study computer science? Can you articulate some of those things that you're excited about? Sometimes passion for us is translated on a resume to personal projects or leadership roles or involvement in student groups, or maybe you're a hacker and you've participated in a bunch of hackathons. And none of these are requirements. These are just extra things that make you a more competitive candidate. So start thinking about that, especially if you're earlier in your college career. This is definitely going to be the way that you learn, and also the way that you can get ahead and kind of stand out among your peers. And then
sorry, interrupting you. I've been trying really hard to raise my hand here, but I could not find the
button.
The button. I've been searching for it for a while. No, I want to say here that maybe this is not the right time, but I'll say it. The first time I applied to Microsoft, so when Microsoft went to my university in Colombia, so some of my friends were applying and were like, oh, let's apply, let's get an internship, whatever. And I was like, no, I'm not applying to that. There is no way I can get this. It's not happening. I'm going to study really hard this year and then apply. And then my friends were like, no, come on, you should apply now, give it a try, whatever. And I was like, no, next year. Okay, next year came and I was like, yeah, I'm not applying. I'm going to study another year, right? And then luckily, a friend of mine sent my resume, and then they called me, and I was like, what? How this happened? So I applied that year, and I went to the interview. I get to second round, and I didn't pass, and I was like, no, come on, I knew it, this is not going to happen. But then, my friends were like, but you were so close. I mean, you get to second round, this is not chance, you just go and study a bit and then you will get it. Then I was like, okay. So I took that year, I studied really hard. And then the next year when Microsoft went again to my university, then I sent my resume. I did first round, great. Second round, I was like super ready, not nervous, not anxious at all, which was a problem I had the very first time because I was like dying nervous. People asked me like, what is a variable? I was like, what is a what? What? So I was very lost. Second time I was more confident and then I get it. So yeah, that's a bit of my experience I wanted to share in this, like hiring, getting to the internship process.
And that's like growth mindset, like in a nut. You know, this idea that, you know, when you fail the first time, it's not like the end of the road. What it took was, you know, a determination to like drive for, you know, study more and to like continue on. And then with that practice, you know, certainly we saw a better outcome the second time around, which is so awesome. So think about that too. You know, if you're asking yourself some of these questions and you're like, oh, like, you know, maybe I'm not, you know, how am I spending, like, I'm not doing anything outside of school. Like, don't stop there. Think about, you know, the way you can keep trying in order to get there and, you know, put those experiences on your resume. Other things that we're looking for, you know, are like your potential to grow. So we're looking for people that are eager and hungry in that sense. And some of the questions that you might want to ask yourself here is like, how am I making the most of like the educational resources I have at USF? Am I attending some of these sessions to like learn about companies? Am I, you know, taking on that extra project? Have I signed up to be a grader for my class, or maybe even a TA once I've, you know, mastered some of that coursework? Having that growth mindset to challenge yourself is something that is another thing that we're really looking for here. So keep that in mind. Sometimes that might translate to, you know, having, you know, some experiences, whether those are professional or maybe they're from your personal projects. Maybe you've taught others. That's how we pick up on your potential from your resume. We have this opportunity to invite everyone at USF for a one-on-one resume review session. Hopefully, you know, this presentation leaves you with like more questions, you know, and certainly, you know, the resume one-on-one time will help answer some of those if we don't, you know, get to them here. But know that this is something that we're really excited to be able to offer. It's kind of like a new discovery of mine in this virtual recruiting environment. Typically, we're limited by our opportunities to do this because we have to physically be places. But this actually is something I want to keep doing even after things get better. So in regards to like, you know, next steps, like if you're interested in a role at Microsoft and you want to, you know, apply for an internship or you think you're ready for full time, then the first thing is to sign up for a resume review session. Keep an eye out for an email from your Career Services Center with that link to sign up. It should be really easy. And then, you know, after Friday, once you have that spiffed up resume, go online and apply. There is no technical deadline for resumes to be reviewed from USF. But a little bit of like a fun fact is next week I have USF resumes on my schedule to be reviewed. So I'm going to be reviewing every single, you know, USF resume on Monday, which is, you know, kind of your deadline. So I usually pull that list on Monday morning, so don't push it. Like, make sure that you apply by Sunday, which is, I think, the 4th of October. And if there's anything that, you know, you want to like really dig in on that you couldn't get answered from this presentation, learn more about us by checking out our open roles on our career site, because that's definitely a really great resource. Cool. We have about 25 minutes for questions from you all. You can, you know, direct those students to me or to Lena, or leave it open-ended. You're welcome to use that however you'd like. And maybe, Gian, I can alternate maybe between the hand raise and the chat. Maybe that's a good way to...
I still could not find the high raise button. I'm so sorry. How blind I am.
And yeah, actually, I'm a little confused too because I'm like sharing my screen. So let me do this share. Okay, cool. And now you said it's under participants. Okay, I can see the hands. Okay, cool. I'm just going to go ahead and call on names, and then I'll also alternate between the chat window as well. So the first question will come from Rachel. You're welcome to come off mute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I was just wondering about the Microsoft research, I guess. Is that something that it's accepting internship as well?
Yes, so that's a really great question. Microsoft hires researchers every year, especially and even into internship roles. Those roles are typically opened later in the season, so I would encourage you to check back to the website. In October, I think October, November is when you can expect those to be opened. One thing to note about research roles is that they are typically fewer open roles for those opportunities, but certainly still available.
Thank you.
Cool. We got a question in the chat from Baharth. He asked, if we are graduating June 2021, would we apply for full-time roles or internships? That's a great question. So students that are going to be graduating in December of 2020 or spring of 2021, they are full-time eligible candidates and they are no longer eligible for an internship. Internships have to, in order to be eligible for an internship, you have to be going back to school for another quarter or semester. So that's a good rule of thumb. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, we'll take the next question from Sutej.
Yes, I had one question, like in which year should we start looking for and applying for internships, even in the freshman year and for both research and software development jobs?
Yeah, so I would recommend applying to open roles earlier in the season every year than later, just because we start recruiting pretty early, and we typically make announcements on our our website. You'll see, if you follow it closely, you can see when the applications are posted. You're welcome to apply to more than one type of role. So you asked about like research and software engineering. You can apply to as many open roles as you'd like to. There's no harm in that. You can even interview at the first round for multiple roles, but before you go to the final round, we'll typically ask that you make a decision on which pipeline you'd like to go down. Was there more to your question, or did I get everything?
Yeah, there's just one part, like can even freshmen apply?
Oh, yeah. So freshmen can apply for the Explore internship. Although I wouldn't get discouraged if you were a freshman and you weren't selected your first time around. And the reason for that is because the openings are pretty limited. So we do prioritize sophomores for the Explore internship. Okay, we'll go to the chat. We have a question from Frank. I need to know. So I feel like a lot of people think that you need to know much about the field you're applying to. While that might not be the case, is there a baseline to what applicants should know? So Frank, you asked a really great question around how much knowledge you need. One thing that I would recommend is preparing for technical interviews with resources that how to crack the coding interview, which are focused around problem solving, data structures, and algorithms. Those types of questions are going to be really key for us in understanding what your problem solving skills look like. But the way we ask you questions is, we're not going to ask you specifically to code in Python if you've never coded in Python. You're welcome to code in whatever language you feel comfortable in. What our goal is during these interviews is to get a general sense for your technical skills, your problem solving skills, your ability to collaborate and communicate with your interviewer and with others. We might ask you behavioral questions about opportunities that you've worked with others in a group setting. And we also want to know how you can get things done, how you can drive for results. So we'll ask you, maybe something that you don't know, but we'll try to coach you through that. And you can expect, the interview process to be challenging, but it's not about whether or not you get the right answer. It's about how you approach your problem solving and the way you can collaborate. So hopefully that gets at some of your questions around like, how much do I need to know? It's a little more, general because of the fact that, we're not going to ding you if you don't know C#. But we do want to know that you have those, problem solving skills.
Yeah, I think I want to add to this is that I think data structures and algorithms like basics you have to have this like super strong. Things like solving like little problems like with from algorithms, data structures like super clear, and they might ask you things like, as Brian said, that you have no idea. And then, at least in my case, I was very open. I was like, okay, this algorithm, I had no idea how it works, but my understanding is this. So is this the right thing or not? So try to walk the person that is interviewing you through your mental process. So if you sit in your chair during the interview, doing like not talking at all, two things could be happening. You might be thinking a lot, or you might be blank, right? But there is no way the person who is interviewing you is gonna know this. So try to walk the person who is interviewing like every step of your mental process, like I'm trying to do this, I'm gonna rename this is the right understanding. And if you guys wanna like train a lot of like data structures, I will recommend like this book, which is one of my favorites. I really like it. I can leave the name. It's really cool. I really like it. This is like, I still have it here because I like this. So that'll be great. And there are a lot of resources outside that you can just go and tackle it and just give it a try.
Yeah, what is that book called?
This one is Competitive Programming.
Okay. Could you drop that into the chat so that folks can consider that?
Yes.
Thank you, Lena, for adding to that. That's great.
Competitive.
Angelica, we got a question from you.
Great. Hi, my name is Angelica. Thank you guys for seeing us today. I'm just wondering how it's been at Microsoft shifting to a completely remote workplace culture, and if there is any talk or plans on how that's going to be in the future for Microsoft with remote work.
Maybe you can talk about your experience first, and then I'll share a little bit about like the Microsoft plan.
Yes, so my experience, so I've been always remote since first day in Microsoft because I'm working in Canada and my team is based in Seattle, right? So I've been remote since day zero. So when we moved to working from home, okay, I have to move to home, but I was always remote, right? So I think my team was very aware that I was remote, so they always try to like, don't let me like behind, like try to be there all the time. So they also were very open about, you just jump into a call whenever you need, like ping me anytime, like whatever problem you have, we're happy to help you out. At the time, I can't travel to Seattle because from here is like 2-3 hours in a bus, so that was easy. So I was going there like, I don't know, like every 2 months or something. Now that everything is is remote, I'll say I think there is a lot of consciousness that we all remote. So they're like we try to be very, try not to overwork because it's like very difficult sometimes to draw the line. Where is work and where is home, right? So we're always talking about like, okay, just try to have a schedule, like don't stay at working till 9-10 p.m. because this is gonna only result in burning out. So yeah, it's like about talking about it, That's my experience.
Yeah, I think for Microsoft in particular, the move to virtual work, like Lena mentioned, is something that we had already been very mindful of. Microsoft, especially over the last few years, has broadened its perspective around talent and where that is, and some of the limitations with maybe we can't hire the best people if they're unwilling to relocate, or maybe there's a need for an employee who does great work to move to a different state to be with family. So we have been accommodating those type of things on my team for years. And in my case, I also was already remote, so it was kind of nice when everyone else went remote, because it kind of leveled the playing field for everyone. And what I think this experience has led to is just like way more consciousness and empathy. Like that was already there, but now it's like 1000%. There's always a Teams link on, as an option for meeting. I would say, in regards to the way Microsoft is thinking about it, I know, Facebook and Twitter were pretty quick, even after just a few weeks of going remote, to make the call that, employees can work from wherever they'd like. And while there's some pros to that, I think Mark Zuckerberg in particular was like, we want to, spread out these jobs and kind of help different parts of the country, like have that type of like economic stimulus. Our company is, Microsoft is usually pretty thoughtful and kind of cautious around making some of those calls. So our CEOs, hasn't quite made a call on the nature of remote work in the future. My guess is that, we won't let that go. I think there's still a lot of value in meeting in person and having physical spaces to gather in, especially for those that can. So that's the sense that I get. In terms of when we're coming back, jury is still out on when it'll be safe enough for us to return, though.
Okay, thank you. That was interesting.
Thank you, Angelica. We got some good questions in the chat here, so let me see if I can pick a good one before we go back to a hand-raised question. I can't seem to scroll. Let's see if I can get this.
I'm seeing there like a couple of questions related what you have to study for the interviews, like if they ask you specific things or frameworks or projects. So to try to answer all of those in one, I'll try my best. So as I said, the interviews, at least how it was for me, it was more focused on the structures and algorithms. And the person asked me like, they asked me every time, in which language do you want to code? And at the time I was like, I had knowledge in C++ and Java. So I was like, I want to do C++ and Java, but I had other friends that did an interview in Python, or they did in C#, like whatever you feel more comfortable with. Of course, if you want to pull out like a very crazy programming language, that might be a little tricky, but like standard programming languages, that will be fine. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for answering some of that, Lena. We can take another question from the hands that are raised. Megan, you're welcome to come off mute.
Hi. So I actually have a question about resume, I guess resume stuff. This is a little bit silly, but I found a really awesome post on Reddit from an ex-recruiter who kind of like broke down a template for tech resumes and kind of just like what recruiters look for. And he strongly suggested that you put a small little interest section at the bottom of your resume. And I did that, and it just feels a little bit weird, like telling tech recruiters that I like to go on Reddit and garden and stuff like that. But like, do you agree that that's a good thing to do, or just what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, Lena, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I did this, definitely. I was like, I'm into like circus stuff, like fabrics and these kind of things. So I put it there, like I'm a like circus person, dancer who enjoys doing this and do presentations. I was like, my friends were like, where are you putting this? I was like, I don't know, it's part of me, right? So they should know who are they hiring. So I did it, and I put also like interest in the interested like section, like some volunteers I was making, like I was volunteering in the Girl Scouts in Colombia, so I put that. And yeah, I think these kind of things kind of stands you out and talk about who you are. So yeah, I guess just go for it.
With that, I think as recruiters, oftentimes we are reviewing a lot of resumes, like I mentioned earlier, and it starts to feel like one resume feels like the other often, especially if you have the same academic projects listed, the same coursework, similar, other things. But an interest like that section does help us, remember that like you're a human with like a variety of interests and different ways that you spend your time, and that well-roundedness actually can help us understand what kind of perspective you bring to a team, and that's something that's so top of mind for every team that hires at Microsoft. They look to the recruiting team for us to bring in those broad perspectives so that they can build better products. So if we have someone who's like a synchronized swimmer, or someone who has these very specific interests, maybe it's not like off the top like incredibly relevant to tech, but it also adds depth to you as a person. Some of the advice that I give students is, one of the first things I say is to really keep it to one page. And then sometimes it's really hard for people who have a lot of different things. That said, I think you just want to be mindful of space. Like I wouldn't, put that at the very top of your resume and, really take a lot of real estate on your resume for that. But it's so nice to have that, kind of roundedness on a resume. So yes. Yeah, we had a question from Olga in the chat about volunteer or unpaid internships, and Microsoft unfortunately does not offer, we pay all of our interns for the internship experiences that we offer. So we won't have opportunities for students that are looking for a volunteer experience. That said, we work with students on a variety of different, visa needs to obtain work authorization. So I know H4 might be specifically a challenge, but a lot of international students who don't typically have that, we will obtain that through a J1 for internships, and then for full-time candidates, we also will sponsor all visas needed. Let's go back to a hand. Jose has a question, so go ahead and come up.
Hi, thank you. I guess it's a question for both of you. What's one thing that you hate about your job? And if so, how would you fix it?
Yeah, ooh, this is fun. I can think of a few right now.
Yeah.
Want to start?
Let me think. Something I hate about my job. Okay. Let me think. Why do I hate about my job?
I can maybe start if.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's that I love that like seasonal things are fun, right? Like when it's like Halloween time, it's like fun because it comes like once a year and it's like really awesome. And if you're like me, you love Halloween and you should get in the spirit, PSLs, flannels, pumpkin patches, the whole thing. That said, my work is incredibly seasonal in the way that like it just crunches a lot of the work that I have to do in like a few months time. So from August to November, I'm just like really like working a lot. So for me, it is a little harder to like find the balance at this time of the year. That said, work-life balance at Microsoft in particular is something that we're like very highly like rated around. If you read reviews, from people and you talk to people that work at Microsoft, and especially locally in the Seattle area, like Microsoft is like really kind of famous for their work-life balance, where if you need to take time off or if you need to, leave work early, those opportunities are always there for you to come back to your work. And that's something that is just like super like reinforced by every manager I've ever had. That said, my springtime schedule is like super chill. Like I take all my vacation in the spring. I mean, we're still doing things. It's obviously not completely free, but I'd say like for me, like it's more specific to my role, I guess, is that I like just really don't like. The other thing that I will say is I think there's pros and cons to working at a really big company. And I think that might kind of get to the heart of what you might have been curious about. Like, what about Microsoft? Like, don't you like? I think on one hand, I have this like incredible opportunity for impact because we're so big. When I, did some work with Latinx recruiting in Florida and Texas, like I was working with like hundreds of Latinx engineers to like lead this charge, and we developed mentorship programs and resume review sessions, and it was cool to see that like I could influence so many people and hire so many people versus like a smaller company where I might have a couple dozen folks to work with, and then I'm only hiring a few. But at the same time, it's also kind of hard to feel like it's just a lot of work to get things off the ground, because we're so big. Like I have to make sure that I'm looping in our global diversity and inclusion partners, and I'm making sure that I have, different aspects of recruiting looped in. Whereas at a small company, I might be able to run around and do things on my own a little more easily. So there's kind of two sides to that coin for me. I don't know about you, Lena.
Yeah, I think I have one. Something that I won't say hate, but worries me sometime about my work is that the team I am, it's like it's like a small startup-ish project, right? So, and I've been working in this team when I was an intern and right now, so I've been working in this for a year and a half. So it's a kind of a startup-ish because it moves really fast. Like we used like the latest of technology. If my boss comes around and she says like, oh my God, this is amazing, this new technology is great, we want to implement it in our project, so let's do it. And everyone is like, okay, let's do it right now. And then it moves really fast, right? So I think moving from that experience to something different, who is like more, more stable, more like doesn't move that fast, I think I will find myself really like not happy moving around those. So even though I'm in like a huge company, I still work in a small project that feels like super fast, moves fast. So I have this, I'll say.
I feel that, Lena. We're at time, so I think we said we'd go until about 6. Few questions are kind of like all related to each other, and they're pretty simple to answer. The chat. The first question is about like how seasonal is this? Like, is our season to hire students also seasonal? Yes, absolutely it is. So if you apply to a role at Microsoft for like an internship summer 2021 and you apply in April, we just won't have anything left. We finish all of our hiring typically by December. So the earlier you apply, the better. Somebody asked about, if I applied on LinkedIn, is that the same as applying online? Yes, it is. It all goes to the same application pot. And then we also had a question about like how many students were like a quota, that we're hiring from USF. There is no quota. I will push forward the candidates that we think have, that passion and potential to do great. That said, I'm really curious to see how many of you, will hire this year. I'm really excited to see what happens. Every year, one of my favorite things to do is like just to digest the data. We have a bunch of reports that I can pull on, how many students got to the first round and how many students went to the final round, how many students got offers, how many students accepted. Every school has a different metric, and quite frankly, I have zero data on USF. So I hope you all make me proud and that you all get hired and that we have some really compelling reasons to even, recruit even more students here in the future. And I'm really looking forward to one day, setting foot on campus again and, maybe hosting a dinner or something in person. So I hope that we can stay in touch. John, any other things we should mention to students before we wrap?
I just wanted to mention that I'll be sending out the video, hopefully tomorrow or maybe Wednesday. I know that you were going to share some information about the Friday interview opportunities. And so I'll make sure I send that out with the video. But I really appreciate that everyone took time to join us this evening. And also definitely a special thank you to Brian and to Lena for spending your evening with us here at USF.
Nope. All right, loved meeting you all. It's crazy to think there were 100 of you on this call. I can only see some of you, but I know you're all here and excited to review these resumes next week. So make sure you go in and apply. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Have a good evening.
Same, bye-bye.
Thank you.